And I'm still here.
In the usual hustle and bustle of Hong Kong, without warning, the largest tsunami in recorded history struck, flooding the entire city. Water surged into buildings within seconds, engulfing most of the population. The tsunami didn't just stop at Hong Kong, it spread across all of Asia. Panic and fear filled the air as people scrambled to find safety, but the waves swept many away before they could escape. Only a few survivors managed to find refuge on higher ground, one of them being a girl named Asha. 5 years after the catastrophic event, Asha was still haunted by trauma and plagued by nightmares. Each morning, she woke up struggling to suppress her fear, forcing herself to continue with life. Asha lived in a tall, abandoned apartment building, using every possible means to survive, including hiding food in various places, like under seats. With no functioning government left in her country, she started her day by covering her bed with piles of trash to make it appear as though the apartment was uninhabited. She had created numerous secret hideouts throughout the building and often survived on instant noodles, savoring the quiet atmosphere from the rooftop. For drinking water, Asha had a hidden stash in a large tank, carefully tracking her daily supply. After boiling water for tea, she would turn on her radio, scanning frequencies for any broadcasts. When announcements about coordinates of survivor gatherings came through, Asha ignored them, instead tuning into a station playing music. She used headphones, signaling her desire for the sound not to be overheard by anyone. Later, as her rainwater supply dwindled due to a long dry spell, Asha began using a towel to collect dew, transferring it to her water gallon. After cooking and eating her instant noodles, Asha reminisced about her past, recalling moments with friends in a restaurant filled with delicious food. She then observed the surrounding buildings through binoculars, noting that they were all submerged, with some having collapsed entirely. While observing some of her neighbors who were still surviving, Asha unexpectedly noticed a floating box. She quickly rushed to the window, which she had equipped with a spear launcher, and took aim at the box. Asha was skilled in using the spear launcher, hitting the box on her first try. However, as she pulled the box towards her, something under the water also seemed to want it, causing Asha to be thrown forward, scraping her hand in the process. Ignoring the pain and determined not to lose the box, Asha engaged in a tug-of-war with the creature. Suddenly, the creature let go, sending Asha tumbling backward. As she finally managed to pull the box close to the window, the mysterious, massive creature lunged at her. But Asha had already secured the box just in time. Without worrying about the creature, she opened the box, only to find that most of the contents were useless, except for a bottle of water. Asha then headed to the rooftop, glancing with frustration at a corner room before she left. Once on the roof, she used the water to clean the wound on her hand, then bandaged it while sipping the water to ease the pain. She proceeded to wash herself, revealing several scars on her body, indicating the many challenges she had faced to survive. As the sun was setting, Asha heard screams from another apartment building. She investigated and saw 2 mysterious ships attacking her neighbors. The attackers were a group of looters, searching for any remaining survivors to steal their supplies or take them as slaves, showing no hesitation in hurting or killing them. While she was observing the situation, Asha was shocked to see one of the looters looking back at her through binoculars. Without a second thought, she quickly ducked to hide herself. But when she checked again, she saw that the looters were already sailing toward her apartment. Asha hurriedly hid and covered all of her belongings, even scattering dust on the floor to erase her footprints, making the apartment appear uninhabited. After completing her procedures to hide her presence, Asha concealed herself behind a wardrobe with a hole in it, hoping the looters wouldn't find her. When the looters arrived at Asha's apartment, they began searching every room for her. One of them even got close to her hiding spot, but after finding no signs of life, the looters became frustrated and started ransacking the place. Unexpectedly, Asha was startled by the sound of a gunshot, fired by one of the looters who was just a young boy. The leader of the looters scolded the boy for wasting bullets, but the boy insisted he saw something near the wardrobe. The leader dismissed his claim. After the looters finally left, Asha wept with relief, trying to calm herself by recalling a cherished memory of sharing a meal with her sister Ami. The next day, Asha resumed her routine, feeling a rare moment of happiness when she successfully retrieved another box containing a bottle of honey. However, her joy quickly faded when she spotted the small, lifeless body of a girl floating atop a pile of trash that resembled a makeshift raft. Saddened and disturbed by the sight, Asha tried to push the image from her mind. Later, while busy in the kitchen, an unknown figure quietly slipped into her apartment without her noticing. This mysterious intruder, who had been observing Asha's habits for some time, silently stole food from one of her secret stashes. Although Asha briefly heard something suspicious, she didn't see anything out of the ordinary and decided to ignore it. That night, as Asha prepared for bed, she once again heard a suspicious noise. She checked the door and the hallway, but saw nothing. To trap the mysterious presence, Asha left a bar of soap out. Her plan worked. She caught the intruder, a small girl, who immediately kicked Asha and managed to escape. Asha didn't realize that the girl was the same one she had seen floating earlier. In another room, the girl continued to steal items from Asha, including a flashlight that she placed inside a jar as she explored different areas. When she reached a door with no handle, her curiosity was piqued. But before she could try to open it, Asha yelled at her, causing the girl to flee once more. That night, Asha dreamt of her past, recalling a time when she went shopping with her best friend to buy a birthday present for her sister. In the dream, Asha confided in her friend about her strong desire to leave home, revealing the tension in her relationship with her parents. Upon waking, Asha discovered that some of her food supplies were missing and found empty wrappers scattered on the floor. She immediately started searching for the culprit and eventually found the small girl from the previous night, now asleep with the jar-lit flashlight by her side. Asha couldn't bring herself to wake the girl and instead went to the kitchen to cook. As the girl woke up, she tried to steal again, this time finding an envelope hidden inside a fake electrical outlet. Inside were photos of Asha and her sister. However, Asha caught her in the act, causing the girl to flee once more. Holding back tears, Asha carefully gathered the photos and returned them to their hiding spot, unaware that one photo had been left behind. As night fell, Asha felt sympathy for the young girl she had encountered earlier. She cooked 2 portions of instant noodles and brought them to her. The act of preparing the meal triggered a memory from Asha's past, when she celebrated her sister's birthday with her family. Asha had given her sister a blue jacket as a gift, while her parents presented her with a precious heirloom necklace, a valuable family treasure. Asha, feeling jealous, believed that as the eldest child, she deserved the necklace. In her anger, she fought with her parents, accusing them of no longer caring about her. Back in the present, Asha wore the same heirloom necklace while offering the noodles to the young girl. The girl initially ignored the meal, so Asha placed it beside her and left. As soon as Asha was gone, the girl quickly took the noodles and ate them. Later, when she walked into Asha's room, she noticed that Asha had prepared a bed for her, but the girl was still reluctant to use it. The next morning, Asha discovered that some of her food supplies had been returned. She cooked 2 portions of instant noodles again, leaving one behind intentionally. After Asha went up to the rooftop, the girl took the noodles and followed her. The girl mimicked Asha's every move, making Asha laugh, allowing her to momentarily forget the devastating events that had occurred. That night, the girl finally decided to use the bed Asha had prepared and slept beside her. In the middle of the night, Asha was awakened by the sound of the girl crying. For the first time, Asha opened up, telling the girl that it was okay to cry in such circumstances, because Asha too often cried and felt afraid. The girl eventually spoke, revealing that she missed her mother and planned to reunite with her soon by building a raft. They then introduced themselves, with the girl revealing her name was Hannah. After another night of nightmares, Asha took Hannah to the rooftop to join her in her morning routine. Unexpectedly, when Hannah removed the colorful tape Asha used to prop the door open, the door closed, locking them out. Asha panicked, knowing it could only be opened from the inside. To her surprise, Hannah quickly found a piece of wire and demonstrated her skill by unlocking the door. Afterward, Asha explained the do's and don'ts of living with her, but it seemed that Hannah wasn't paying much attention, as she was more focused on the necklace Asha was wearing. One day while preparing food, Asha noticed that her necklace was missing. Before she could dwell on it, her attention was drawn to the sound of looters shouting nearby. Asha rushed to Hannah, who was playing and listening to music with headphones, and urgently told her to be quiet. Thankfully, the looters moved away from the area. That night, Asha helped Hannah clean up, and Hannah asked Asha to go with her to search for her mother. Asha firmly refused, explaining that the outside world was too dangerous and insisting that their current location was the safest place to be. Asha then asked Hannah about the missing necklace, but Hannah was offended by the accusation and stormed out of the bathroom. After having dinner alone, Asha realized that her water supply was gone, only to discover that Hannah had used it to wash clothes. This triggered another memory from Asha's past. She recalled a time when her mother and sister, Ami, were making dumplings. Asha's mother had made a snide remark about Asha spending too much time hanging out with friends instead of helping around the house, which led to yet another argument between Asha and her mother. That night, Asha had a nightmare in which she saw the victims of the tsunami. Hannah tried to wake her up, and in her half-awake state, Asha momentarily mistook Hannah for her sister. After calming down, Asha took Hannah on a tour of the building, cautioning her not to turn on any lights to avoid drawing attention to their presence. As they passed through a corridor, Hannah asked Asha why one of the rooms didn't have a door handle. Confused by the question, Asha explained that she had intentionally sealed the room off permanently. This conversation triggered another memory for Asha. She remembered watching the news on TV about Singapore being completely submerged while her mother and Ami were preparing dinner. Before Asha could finish watching the broadcast, her mother turned off the TV and told her to come to the table, ignoring Asha's attempt to explain what she had just heard. During that dinner, Asha's parents announced that they would all visit her grandparents' graves the next day. Asha said she couldn't go because she had work, but Ami accidentally revealed that Asha actually planned to go to a nightclub with her friends. This led to yet another argument with her mother, where Asha expressed her feelings of being stifled by her family and became more determined to leave home, not realizing that this dinner would be their last time together. Back in the present, Hannah was busy tuning the radio frequencies and eventually caught a broadcast inviting any survivors to come to a specific location. Excited by the information, she rushed to Asha, urging her to leave together and head to the broadcasted location. However, Asha firmly refused, reiterating that the outside world was far too dangerous. The tension between them escalated, leading Hannah to call Asha a coward, while Asha, in turn, accused Hannah of being a thief. The harsh words deeply hurt Hannah, who then stormed out of the room. When Asha followed her into the next room, she found Hannah working on her makeshift raft, constructed from a series of empty bottles. Unexpectedly, Asha noticed that Hannah had a flare gun, which she quickly took away to keep it safe. In a burst of emotion, Asha revealed that she had once tried to reach a location broadcasted on the radio, but the severe weather had forced her to return. Stunned by Asha's revelation, Hannah pleaded for her flare gun back, her voice trembling with desperation. This reminded Asha of a similar moment with her sister Ami, who had once begged her not to leave home. At that time, Asha had promised to keep visiting her sister regularly, even though she no longer lived with the family. The following morning, much to their relief, it finally rained after a long, dry spell. Asha quickly set out containers to collect the rainwater and woke Hannah to help transfer the water into their storage gallons. While they were downstairs, Hannah found Asha's necklace, which had simply fallen off earlier. Meanwhile, Asha discovered a forgotten photo of herself with Ami, bringing back sweet memories of her sister. Hannah approached Asha, and in that moment, Asha's longing for Ami felt momentarily soothed. The next morning, when Asha woke up, she was surprised to find her missing necklace under her pillow. She realized that her accusation against Hannah had been wrong. The necklace's clasp had been broken, which is why it had fallen off. Feeling guilty for wrongly accusing Hannah, Asha decided to spend the next morning building a more reliable raft, drawing from her previous experience. She designed it with a bicycle mechanism for propulsion. When Asher revealed the raft to Hannah, the little girl was overjoyed, and the moment triggered another memory for Asher. She recalled the night she had finally decided to leave home. Back then, Hong Kong was still bustling with normal activity, and as Asher was looking for a taxi, Ami accompanied her. Ami mentioned that the heirloom necklace was in her jacket pocket, but suddenly, chaos erupted as people began running in panic. A massive tsunami was visible, bearing down on them from behind. Moved by these memories and the bond she had formed with Hannah, Asher decided to give the heirloom necklace to Hannah, who smiled with pure happiness. The next morning, Asher and Hannah began gathering all their food supplies, preparing for their journey to the location where other survivors were reportedly gathered. As they loaded most of the provisions onto the raft, Hannah, who was listening to music through her headset, accidentally got it caught on something, causing the loud music to echo through the room. In a panic, Asher quickly turned off the radio and, deciding to play it safe, she postponed their departure. This meant that all the supplies they had just packed had to be returned to their storage spots. Remaining on high alert, Asher scanned the area with her binoculars and saw that everything seemed calm. However, as Hannah continued to organize her belongings, she suddenly heard the shouts of a group of raiders approaching the apartment. She quickly informed Asher, and the two of them immediately initiated their safety procedures, hiding and covering up their supplies to make the apartment look abandoned. Asher then guided Hannah to the hiding spot behind the wardrobe, but since the space was only big enough for one person, Hannah panicked and begged Asher to stay with her. Asher reassured her, saying she would hide in the empty room. As they debated, the raiders had already entered the apartment, causing Asher to nearly come face to face with them. In her desperation, she opened and slipped into the empty room, only to realize that the room was, in fact, her family's old home. This was confirmed by the family photos on the walls, and Asher's face reflected deep regret for having run away from home in the past. Meanwhile, the raiders were thoroughly searching the apartment, ruthlessly destroying everything in their path, including the raft that Asher had painstakingly built. One of the raiders grew curious about the room without a door handle and decided to break it open. As soon as the door was forced open, he was hit with a foul stench emanating from inside. This revealed that Asher, who was hiding in the wardrobe within that room, had been covering her nose due to the same awful smell. Instead of leaving because of the stench, the raider entered the room and pulled back a cloth, revealing the source of the odor, two decaying bodies, who were none other than Asher's parents. Fortunately, Asher's retching was masked by the sound of the raider also vomiting. As Asher struggled with the nausea, she was flooded with memories of the devastating tsunami that had destroyed everything in its path and claimed countless lives in a matter of moments. She remembered dragging her sister to a tall building, followed by a crowd of other desperate people also trying to save themselves. Back in the present, the raiders finally discovered Asher's hidden food supplies, and one of them found some photos of Asher that she had forgotten to hide. Unexpectedly, the young raider, curious about the suspicious wardrobe, noticed a strange gap. When the leader of the group arrived, they searched the wardrobe and discovered Hannah hiding inside. At that moment, Asher heard Hannah's screams as she was caught, triggering memories from her past. In her flashback, Asher remembered desperately trying to save herself and her sister, Ami, by climbing onto the rooftop of a building during the tsunami. However, Ami's grip slipped and she was left behind, trampled by the panicking crowd. Asher, overwhelmed with panic and guilt, had no choice but to save herself, all the while clutching the family heirloom necklace that was in Ami's jacket. As she wallowed in these painful memories, Asher suddenly heard Hannah being cornered and forced to reveal her hiding spot. Shortly after, Asher was also captured after a struggle with the raiders, and she passed out. When she woke up, she found her hands tied. One of the raiders tried to touch her, but he stopped when the leader called him. Asher was then taken to the raiders' boat where all of her food supplies had already been transferred, and Hannah was also being held. Haunted by thoughts of her sister, Asher decided to fight back, attempting to break free from the ropes binding her hands. Spotting a broken CD nearby, she quickly grabbed it and attacked the man, then seized a flare gun she had hidden on the table. As the man tried to drown her, Asher managed to fire the flare gun into his face, killing him instantly. Hearing the commotion, other raiders on the boat returned to the apartment, splitting up to find Asher. One of the larger raiders was drawn to the sound of crying. As he approached the source, Asher set a trap, causing him to fall, and she viciously beat him with a guitar. She then took the man's knife and hurried to another room to prepare more traps. The sound of a radio she had turned on lured another raider into a trap, where Asher killed him after a fierce struggle. After setting another trap, a female raider entered the room and was distracted by a lit stove. Asher seized the opportunity to pour kerosene on the woman and pushed her into the trap room along with the stove, setting her ablaze. The woman's screams drew the attention of the raider leader, who moved towards the source of the noise. As he climbed the stairs, Asher ambushed him, leading to a brutal fight. When Asher was nearly overpowered, she used her last bit of strength to grab a lamp above her and managed to stab the man in the neck in the darkness, killing him. Thinking it was over, Asher was suddenly confronted by the young raider who was still alive and started shooting at her. Asher quickly fled to the rooftop and hid beside the door, closing it behind her. The door, with its tape now removed, couldn't be opened from the outside. Though she momentarily felt pity as the young raider pleaded for his life, Asher ultimately left him behind upon hearing gunshots. Asher then looked out the window and saw the last raider guarding Hannah on the boat. She aimed a spear gun at him but missed, causing the raider to be confused by the object that flew past him. Seizing the moment, Hannah pushed the raider off the boat, but she fell into the water as well. Without hesitation, Asher jumped in to save her. As the last raider surfaced, a giant shark appeared and devoured him, allowing Asher and Hannah to climb back onto the boat safely. With the raiders' boat now stocked with food, Asher and Hannah set sail towards the location mentioned in the radio broadcast, where other survivors were said to be gathered. As they sailed, passing over a submerged city, Asher finally found peace, no longer plagued by nightmares. And that's it for the story series of this film. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to support this channel by subscribe, like and share. See you in the next video. Goodbye.